The Opinion with Michael J. I'm bringing to you Pierre Poilievre. So apparently he's just gone on the record making a big stink about Mark Carney and a conflict of interest with all his stock holdings. Meanwhile, Pierre Poilievre, based on his most recent financial disclosure, holds Vanguard and a couple of Vanguard index funds. He actually got out of, he sold international funds and bought Canadian, and this was recent. But the fact of the matter is, these Vanguard funds have high holdings, a high percentage of holdings, like up to 50% of Brookfield. So we got Moose on the Loose, who's a YouTube influencer, Jasmine Lane and Juno News and a few others, and well over 500,000 subscribers. And the hypocrisy, Carney, the conflict of interest. Meanwhile, based on the information with Moose on the Loose and his Brookfield flow chart, it's a beautiful chart, but it's just utter nonsense, because based on what David, the head Moose, Lantsman, Deputy Minister, Conservative Party, holds Brookfield stock. Pierre Poilievre, Brookfield stock. Other Conservative MPs, Greg McLean, Stephen Ellis, Cheryl Gallant, Scott Reed, and Scott Davidson. Those are just the ones we know. So it's awfully rich. It's extremely rich for Mr. Poilievre to make these statements.
David, today we got Pierre Poilievre coming out with a press conference just completely obliterating Mark Carney. And where's he to be found to defend himself? Well, he's in Australia. He's not going to be defending anything while he's on vacation.
Why does Mark Carney have to defend himself, David?
Let's jump into this.
On Friday, we finally got a look at the Prime Minister's many financial interests that he kept carefully hidden throughout the election and about which he told numerous falsehoods during that same campaign. These are what the revelations tell us. One, that Mr. Carney was not upfront or honest with Canadians during the election. He made
You mean like you are right now, Pierre Poilievre? And you are head Moose David? You're not being honest with Canadians either. And I'll tell you why. I'll explain it to you right now, here and now. So, Poilievre, back in 2010, Stephen Harper, Poilievre was a House Ethics Committee member. So there's a conflict of interest with somebody under the Stephen Harper government, a guy by the name of Nigel Wright. Poilievre, parliamentary secretary at the time, said opposition MPs had attacked Wright's motives for taking the job and asked him to explain his blind trust. You know, it's okay when a conservative has a blind trust, but a liberal can't. So now there was further transgressions on the part of this Nigel Wright. It became quite a fiasco, which we won't go into here. So Poilievre responded by acknowledging Wright's experience in the private sector. And he further stated there are going to be people in this public service world who come from different backgrounds. But that is a strength for our country. It's a strength for a conservative, but it's not for a liberal. And this is the real hypocrisy. And this is rather unfortunate. And people buy into that, and it's promoted by conservative influencers on YouTube and elsewhere. And so during his news conference on Monday, Poilievre, this was back in 2013, Poilievre said the current ethnic laws need to change and that his party would be putting forward proposals. Well, you know what happened with that. A lot of smoke and mirrors and a lot of wind because nothing happened. Now, recently, Poilievre sold international funds and bought Canadian. But what he forgot to tell you is he has a huge holding in Brookfield. Yes, Pierre Poilievre has a huge holding in Brookfield through these Vanguard exchange-type funds, ETFs. So he's got a couple Vanguard funds. And you must be aware, Deputy Leader Melissa Lantsman held an undisclosed number of shares in Brookfield as well. But they both attack Carney for it, but they hold it as well. Lantsman, based on the Office of the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioners, the company that she has investments is based in Bermuda. The same thing. So they're throwing all this mud at Carney, but yet it's not sticking to them. It's like a double standard. And it's a hypocrisy of the highest degree. Same as what Trump gets away with down south of the border. Maple Mega North, which is the Conservatives now under Pierre Poilievre, he lost his riding of Carleton of 20 years. Funny thing is, he's lived in Carleton, Ottawa for since 2015. He bought a house in 2015 there, so he's lived there longer than that. And everybody's defending him. So it's pretty rich. It's extremely rich. So let's see what they have to say here.
Numerous false statements he would have known were false when he made them. Two, there is a cornucopia of conflicts of interest in these investments, like we have never seen before from a Canadian Prime Minister. Let me go through and document all of these claims one by one.
First off,
Yeah, but he should amend his statement to include the Conservative Party leader named Pierre Poilievre and the deputy minister of the Conservative Party, Melissa Lantsman. He's not amending his statement to include them. And this is what he should be doing. Furthermore, there really is no conflict of interest with Mark Carney. And how do you say that? Well, based on the rules of disclosure, conflict of interest. First of all, Carney's holdings, which has been disclosed publicly, self-administered RRSPs, and then following securities which were held in an investment account managed by a third party in respect of which the Prime Minister did not control or direct the selection of investments. And there's a listing of all of them. So there you go. That is everything you need to know. There's nothing wrong. It's a nothing burger. And the fact of the matter is you should be aware that these folks right here are guilty of what they say others are guilty of. So it's just pointless for them to state anything differently. Invested in Brookfield. Pierre Poilievre. Well, Poilievre has repeatedly criticized Carney's involvement in Brookfield, one of the top assets in the Vanguard FTSE Canada Index ETF is Brookfield Corporation. So you're being sold a bill of goods that goes nowhere. It's utter nonsense. So anything that Poilievre is saying on the podium, he should be including himself as the leader of the Conservative Party and the deputy minister of the Conservative Party. Meanwhile, Section 27 of the Conflict of Interest Act gives you two options: selling the assets or placing the assets in a blind trust. Carney placed them in a blind trust. He could make money. He may not. Usually over time, you will. And these are the rules, Section 27. So there's nothing here. Absolutely nothing whatsoever. You're being sold a false bill of goods. And this David Head Moose in the Loose, is one of the leading proponents of misinformation.
before we get into this, I want to point out something that Mark Nixon brought up. The fact that Mark Carney went on vacation when he knew this was going to come out. So I was counting down the days as 120 days from when he got elected. So I knew this was going to drop sometime this weekend. I didn't know if it'd exactly drop on the day or be pushed to the following Monday. Mark Carney took a vacation while this came out. So essentially, he's been avoiding journalists to not...
Yeah, but the question should be, you don't need Mark Carney there. You've got Pierre Poilievre, Melissa Lantsman, leader of the Conservative Party, deputy leader, doing the exact same thing, so they can answer any questions reporters have. Just no need to go any further. It's as simple as that. And then, here we go again.
We'll see how that goes.
David.
But no, I do not expect Monsieur Poilievre to try and stay in a backwater.
Okay, so this lady here, she's an independent running in the riding of the UCP territory of Alberta. It's a safe conservative area. Last guy there won by 73%. So CBC interviewed this lady. She's independent, running for that race against Poilievre.
Rural Alberta riding.
What you're about to watch is one of the stupidest interviews you're ever going to see. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we've got Bonnie Critchley on the CBC. Who's Bonnie Critchley? She's running against Pierre Poilievre in Battle River Crowfoot. She's an absolute bonehead, and she exposes her...
Stupid, bonehead. There's really no way to talk about people. But this is what we have happening. Mega South, Maple Mega North. The exact same type of behavior. And it should not be acceptable.
Her lack of knowledge is embarrassing. We're also going to go over another one of Carney's conflicts of interest. We got multiple other things going on here. Let's jump into this. First up, we got this one from Ursula von der Leyen. Good call with Mark Carney, a strong EU-Canada partnership. That's our response to changing trade relationships. Let's get real. We can't drive a truck to the EU. We can drive a truck to America. We know who our trading partner is. So does that mean...
So here's the thing. You want to force America to trade with Canada. Meanwhile, you got Trump, that's a crook. He's putting tariffs against every country around the world. You can't do a deal with him. He's not a reliable partner. He's got tariffs on everybody. And he wants everybody, if you want to work with the United States, you got to build a factory in the United States. And it's a one-way street with him right now. So you're trying to force trade with the United States of America under Trump that's not willing to trade fairly with anybody. Donald Trump is a functioning illiterate, which means he's in the bottom 28 percentile, the bottom 28% of the population in North America as far as intellectual capacity. He has no ability to understand cause and effect, and you should realize back in 2018, he did a tariff war with soybeans, farmers in the Midwest against China, had to bail out the farmers for $36 billion, wiped out 2 decades of work for the farmers, just wiped it out. Business went to Brazil instead. And the guy has no understanding of what's really going on. He's micromanaging the tariff situation. And while you're trying to force yourself to deal with a guy you're just wasting your time with, makes no sense.
Mark Carney's back at work. That's right. He's no longer vacationing in Australia. Well, where is he? You might be thinking he's pounding the pavement in Ottawa. No, he's at a luxury resort in Muskoka, Deerhurst Resort. This is where he's at right now. If anyone's out there wants to go say hi, not sure they'll let you in. Apparently they got a ton of security, but this is where he's hanging out at. Beautiful. Beautiful waste of our tax dollars. You know, you guys have offices in Ottawa where you can actually have meetings and work. You don't have to spend our money going to luxury resorts. This has to end. They should have to pay for this and for all their RCMP detail to go there. And we got this one from 6Buzz TV. 2 Toronto beaches are now not safe for swimming due to high levels of E. coli in the water. Too many steamy Luigis at the beach. Thanks, guys.
Steamy Luigi. Steamy Luigi. This is how people rationalize climate change. You got wildfires in Alberta. You had wildfires burning in California last year. In Toronto, Ontario, which this is a picture of here, you've had heat warning for a couple weeks now. So it causes E. coli bacteria to be proliferating. So you deny there's any climate change, and then you just blame it on steamy Luigis, or whatever you call them. Like, come on now.
Moving ahead, we got the food professor saying, what exactly is this supposed to mean, impacted by tariffs? So he's talking about Bix pickles are currently unavailable as an unfortunate impact of tariffs. We are pleased to offer a selection of alternatives. Is it too expensive now? Which tariffs specifically? Or is it specifically that you don't want to sell it anymore? What this is, Mark Carney has tariffs on food. It's making it more expensive for us. So I don't know if they pulled it because it's just way too expensive, or
You get information from X, which used to be Twitter, selling it to your followers as a fact, because this is supposed to be a reputable source. I'm sure the food professor has some credibility to him. Maybe not all the time, because Bix Pickles used to have a plant, Scarborough. They sold it to Schmuckers, and in 2010, under the Stephen Harper, Pierre Poilievre government, they moved the factory and all the business down to the United States. So you really do not know what's going on. You're ill-advising people, but people believe this kind of stuff.
Are they American pickles? I don't know. Moving ahead, we got this one from Table Salt. It says, bro is really going to cut 50 to 100,000 jobs.
So here's another one. All these people, Juno News, even this Rebel News, they make out like they're established news people, but they're not. They're just conservative influencers trying to push their ideology down the throats of everybody any which way they can.
After running on a platform of not doing exactly that, and then offers to help the families. These people are psychos. Thank you, Bruce. I'm confident that if there are families affected by the civil service staff reductions, you will do your utmost to assist those families. I will. Yeah, right. He's going to assist his own bank account. Moving over to the Moose chart here. So we're going to take a look at this one here, Great Lakes Power.
So this is the Moose chart. So this is from the same disclosure I showed earlier, the Section 27 of the Conflict of Interest Act disclosure, which Carney did. Now here's the thing. Moose here, the head moose, David, trying to make this into something nefarious that for some reason he's trying to infer that Carney owns Brookfield. It's his company. He's doing everything he can just for Brookfield because he benefits by it. He's made a wonderful mind chart based on that theory, but it's absolute bullcrap.
Corporation today, number 90. This one's a bit of a question mark. So moving across the...
There you go. They spent all this time making this lovely chart, and it is a great chart. If you're looking at charts, it's a great chart, but it's another huge nothing burger. And we're not going to go any further into it because that's all they do. They rile up their base, misinform them, the hockey rink's another thing. Holy hockey rinks. What's this one here?
5%, and here's Bonnie Critchley, 7.2%. And you got a whole bunch of other people in here. The Liberals and the left, they're pushing this Bonnie Critchley. She's an absolute buffoon, and you're going to see in this interview, she exposes her lack of knowledge badly, so you can see her.
She's an absolute buffoon? Holy moly. Goodness gracious. Bless you.
Bonnie Critchley trending in Canada and security clearance. Okay, guys. CBC desperately trying to help Bonnie get her message out, get her face out. The only reason
And this is another travesty. CBC, which can give you actually some good news, instead of National Post, Toronto Sun, and every other media outlet that's controlled by an American hedge fund, it's promoting conservative values only. So CBC is good when it's for the conservatives, but it's no good any other time. And this is a perfect example of that. And you'll see right here, your witness. It's David Cochran, I believe his name is. He doesn't give this girl any special treatment.
I'm putting this on here is to expose how dumb she is.
Tell us why you've decided to run in this by-election and run against the Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, in the seat.
It really boils down to my slogan, which isn't a slogan. It's simply the truth. This is our home. This is our riding. We just had an election and spent all that money, and we elected the candidate of our choice, who promptly turned around and said, no, I don't want that mandate I asked you for. And we're spending another $2 million to vote in the angry guy from Ottawa, who doesn't know jack about this area. He may have been born in...
He's exactly. You just said he's born in Calgary. He doesn't know jack about the area that he was born. Battle River Crowfoot is just off the side of Calgary. This lady.
Yeah, but Pierre Poilievre bought a house in Ottawa in 2015, was also living in Ottawa when he was with the Stephen Harper government 10 years prior to that. So let's be honest here, David.
He says her slogan, not slogan, is telling the truth. You're going to see here, she doesn't tell the truth.
But he's from Ottawa. He hasn't been here. He hasn't lived here. And even if he had stayed in Calgary.
He's from Ottawa, like Mark Carney's from England, from America? No mention of that, though. No, none whatsoever. Pierre Poilievre has spent about 20 years of his life in Calgary, in Alberta.
This is a very different area than.
Yeah, he did, up till he was 20 years old. The guy's 45. Where has he been the last 25 years, David? Now, come on. This is the real issue. You conflate opinion into fact. And this is very misleading, and your base buys into it. They feed off of it. As a matter of fact, take a look at the comments here. 120 days on job and no tariff negotiations. You're trying to deal with tariffs for the guy that doesn't want to deal with tariffs. He's still got a tariff on the UK. The UK is not in a trade deficit. They've been trade positive, and there's still a tariff against the UK. I can't stand Cochrane. That's the CBC interviewer. So Carney's idea of crisis management: shuts down Parliament, goes on vacation, builds a hockey rink. A lot more going on than you realize. And here, Big's Pickles was Canada owned until 2024, when it was sold to Treehouse Foods from the U.S. Well, gotta tell you, it was sold to J.M. Schmucker. Maybe Treehouse is a subsidiary of Schmucker. They shut down in 2010, moved the operation to the U.S. These guys, where do they get their information from? It's just unbelievable where they get their information from. The CBC gives this person a platform because they hate Pierre. Pierre is just misleading people. He hasn't been honest with the people. Conflict of interest is a perfect example. Not honest with anybody. You've seen it right there. He owns stock in Brookfield. He said that it's acceptable back in 2013 when they had the same issue with Nigel Wright. So he's not being honest with you. Melissa Lantsman held documents, held money, held shares in Brookfield. 5 other MPs with the Conservatives. So you've got this guy Moose and all these people stating that Carney's this bad guy. Well, if Carney's enriching himself with Brookfield, so is Pierre Poilievre, so is Melissa Lantsman, Cheryl Gallant, Scott Reed, Scott Davidson, Stephen Ellis, and Greg McLean, all Conservative MPs. So it's a conspiracy with the Conservatives and the Liberals to enrich themselves with Brookfield. So this is how ludicrous this is, and people, you buy into it. It's a travesty that this is acceptable, and it started happening in the United States under Donald J. Trump. Pierre Poilievre took it further here in Canada and axed the sales tax. He had axed the carbon tax. What happened with Axe the carbon tax? Here's what happened with Axe the carbon tax. It was 0 rated for the consumer part of it. 0 rated. Didn't make anybody in Canada rich. And inflation's already eaten up any advantage that would have gone to the consumer. So there's no advantage to the consumer anymore. So you created a whole hate campaign against Trudeau based on axe the tax, carbon tax, this, axe that, this and that. Meanwhile, since 1985 under Thatcher and Reagan, this axing the tax and then not building any multi-unit buildings has created an affordability crisis throughout North America, around the world, because the conservative parties and their organization is very strong around the world. But between the United States and Canada, you got the same issue. So that's where we're at. Can't go any further than that. Conflict of interest is bogus because Pierre Poilievre, Melissa Lantsman, they're doing the exact same thing. So let it go. It doesn't work. It's utter nonsense. Questions, comments, throw in chat. Be good, stay safe. Love and peace to everybody. Thanks again.